Welcome in, everyone. I hope you guys are doing great as always. Hope you're having a great day wherever you're watching from. We have a very important topic to talk about, and that is Russia striking back after Ukraine destroyed a large chunk of its strategic bomber fleet. We knew Russia would retaliate. That retaliation attack has now been carried out. I have a lot of thoughts about it. You might be surprised by some of my thoughts. I'm going to show you the footage of the attack, a little short clip, and then we're going to break it all down. But before we do that, as always, please make sure to like and subscribe. Comment with your thoughts about the war between Russia and Ukraine. I'm trying to respond to as many comments as I possibly can. I'm getting better at it. I enjoy the conversations we're having. Make sure to hit that bell so you always know when a new video is coming. And now let's get into it. As viewers of the channel know, Ukraine recently launched an absolutely unprecedented style of attack where they snuck drones hidden in trucks deep into Russia. They parked those trucks near bases where Russia's strategic bomber fleet is housed at. They had an automated system that they could remotely activate. The backs of the trucks came up, drones came out, and they flew into these air bases at short distance and obliterated the Tu-95, the Tu-22, multiple other kind of planes, early warning aircraft, radar aircraft. In total, they say at least 41 planes were destroyed. Some estimates say as much as 34% of Russia's bomber fleet has been destroyed, and Russia no longer makes those planes, which means they're not going to be able to roll new ones off the assembly line. It was a devastating blow for Russia. There's absolutely no way around it. Now, if you haven't seen that video, actually, let's go ahead and play that right now. Let me throw the video up of the attack, short little clip of what Ukraine did, and then we'll get into the Russian response with video of that. Let's roll. So that right there was the footage of the Ukrainian drone attack that destroyed a significant chunk of Russia's strategic bomber fleet. Russia, of course, has three pillars in its nuclear triad, its nuclear deterrent. You got air, land, sea. Sea being the submarines that can launch nukes, air being planes, and then your land-based ICBMs that you would launch, at whatever time you wanted to launch them, just like we have them in silos. They have theirs more on mobile launchers. But that air part has now essentially been crippled, leaving Russia with really two pillars left, still more than enough to have a nuclear deterrent, no question. Putin was very clear that he was going to respond, and he was going to respond in a very violent, brutal way. But is that actually what happened? Well, we now know the response for the drone attack has occurred. It has happened. It happened Friday. I'm going to throw this up on the screen for you here right now. It says, Russia launched a barrage of drones and ballistic missiles across broad swaths of Ukraine early Friday, killing at least 6 people and injuring dozens of others days after Kiev launched a daring raid on Moscow's fleet of strategic bombers. For residents of Kiev, the night soundtrack was familiar, the shrieking roar of drones, air raid sirens, and large explosions overhead, whether from air defense to successfully downing missiles or projectiles puncturing the capital. 3 firefighters were killed in Kiev, 2 civilians were killed in Lutsk, and another person was killed in Chernihiv, according to the Ukrainian State Emergency Service. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia has used more than 400 drones and 40 missiles in the overnight attack, putting it among the war's largest. He said Moscow's attack injured 80 and targeted almost all of Ukraine, listing 9 regions from Lviv in the west to Sumy in the northeast. And again, this is in direct response to the Ukrainian drone attack. It is a direct response to the surprise destruction of Russia's strategic bomber fleet. 6 people dead, but let's go ahead now. Let's roll the footage of what these strikes look like. It's pretty crazy. It's very, very, very violent. But let's go ahead. You've been warned. Let's roll the tape. So that right there was video of the Russian attack and retaliation for losing, essentially having its strategic bomber fleet either severely damaged, crippled, knocked out of commission, whatever you want to say. Because let's remember, Russia is now going to be much more hesitant to put those planes in the sky because they were using those planes to launch cruise missiles at Ukraine. They're going to be much more hesitant to put what remaining planes they have up in the sky, because if they lose those and they lose all their strategic bomber fleet, well, then they have an entirely different problem on their hands. Because remember, again, Russia does not currently manufacture those planes. They stopped manufacturing the Tu-95, I believe, in the early 90s. So we're 30 years removed from a new one rolling off the assembly line. Here's the fact of the matter, though. Russia did all this tough talk. Putin did all this tough talk. You know, the gloves were off. The rules had changed. The war was going to go a totally different direction now. You were going to see strikes unlike anything you'd ever seen before in your life. Russia was going to take this thing to the next level. That was the rhetoric coming out of Moscow. This was certainly a significant attack. A lot of ballistic missiles were used. A lot of different targets were hit across Ukraine. A total of 6 people died. Obviously, whenever anyone dies, certainly civilians, not a good thing. Civilian death, always bad. Doesn't matter where it is in the world. Doesn't matter if it's in Ukraine, Russia, the Middle East. Doesn't matter. Civilian death is always something that should be avoided, never something to be celebrated. Having said that, this is quite a weak response from what Putin had initially threatened. Putin made it sound like he was going to go and just obliterate Ukraine in response to the drone attack that took out the strategic bomber fleet. He pretty much told Trump as much, right? Trump comes out and says, I talked to Putin. He says he's going to respond in this huge way to the drone attack. If this is it, if this is all the Russians bring to bear, if this is all they have in response, it's honestly quite underwhelming. Again, 6 people died, not downplaying that at all. But this isn't really all that different from anything we've seen throughout the war since Russia invaded. A little bit bigger, a little more targets targeted. Absolutely, that's 100% true. But this is not an unprecedented attack from Russia. It's not anything worse than what was seen in the opening days of the war. Now, why is that? Is it possible that Russia's equipment, they're running low on equipment, they're running low on fuel, they're running low on supplies, they're running low on targets did? After all, they've bombed, a ton of Ukraine, right? So I don't know why this response was way weaker than what they projected to the world. It's a good question. It's something to ponder, and I don't have a good answer for you. But the fact of the matter is, Russia wanted the world to believe they were going to come in and do things we had never seen done before. And that, frankly, did not happen here. Absolutely did not happen. It was a big attack, no question about it, but very underwhelming from the threats Putin has made. And of course, this is not new for Putin. We heard about, I might use nukes, I might do this, I have this red line, I have that red line. And those red lines were routinely violated, and Russia didn't do anything differently in the war in Ukraine. So it's important to remember who we're dealing with here. Putin wants you to believe he's the toughest kid on the block, but of course, he has nothing on the United States of America, can't even take over all of Ukraine. And I'm not weighing in on the war itself. I'm just pointing out basic facts here. This was nothing special. This is actually a bit embarrassing, because if the United States lost 30-40% of its strategic bomber fleet in a drone attack from, let's say, Mexico, I can promise you the response would be much stronger than what we saw from Russia. Still scary, still violent, still deadly, but not at all what they were claiming they were going to do. So read into that as much as you want. But I want to know what you think. Comment below with your thoughts on the attack, the drone attack, the response. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss a video. And as always, I'll see you all next time.